Good morning. And welcome to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church in Pasadena. Welcome to all members, friends, and guests. My name is Gail Shand, and I'm happy to serve as your worship associate for this special Juneteenth service. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino and Tongva peoples, the traditional caretakers of the lands and waters of this campus. Today's service is led by Chaplain Rodney Foster. Chaplain Rodney Foster is a Doctor of Ministry, Master of Divinity, and the BCC, I'm not sure what that stands for, has spent more than 25 years in pastoral ministry, interfaith chaplaincy, education, and community advocacy. His spiritual journey has been shaped by a commitment to healing, justice, compassion, and exploration across religious traditions. Alongside this work, he brings more than 40 years of experience in journalism, where the search for truth, human dignity, and authentic storytelling became an essential part of his spiritual formation. As a Reiki counselor and sound bath practitioner, he integrates contemplative practices, energy healing, and sacred reflection to support personal and collective wellness. A husband, father, and advocate for inclusion, Chaplain Foster invites audiences into deeper reflection on healing, liberation, resilience, and community. Today's music is led by soloist Tiffany Lantello, Sonia Ohan, Adrian Banuelos, Michael Foster, Wells Lang, and the Neighborhood Chorus. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. Our summer schedule has begun, so all children's activities have moved to this sanctuary building. There are activities and additional information for you in the family information sheet in the entryway. Families with young children are always welcome in the sanctuary, and there is an additional play area for the very youngest in our narthex. For adults and older youth who don't need assistance, there is a quiet table for doodling and drawing close to the organ. I'd like to draw your attention to the following announcements. Join us today after the service for our annual Juneteenth barbecue. And we'll meet out in the Labyrinth after the worship service, and we'll also have music with the Dr. Davis Jazz Trio, so excited. Thank you. The Pasadena Singing Resistance will meet today from 2 to 4 in the sanctuary. Please remember that next week's service is online only. We will be watching the Sunday service from General Assembly online. The link is in the weekly newsletter. And finally, please see last week's newsletter for follow-up information and answers to questions that came up in last week's annual meeting. As you may have noticed, we've changed the order of the elements in our Sunday services. If you'd like to follow along, our order of service this morning is available as a link in the Sunday email and online by scanning the QR code on the back of your hymnal with your phone camera. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, an inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service. Please rise in body or spirit to join us in singing the processional hymn, number 156, O Freedom, found in your gray hymnals.
And before I'd be Good morning, neighborhood. It is really a privilege, and I'm so excited to have my colleague and friend, Chaplain Rodney, here with us, and I think it will be a wonderful service, so you're in store for a really good time. In order to center and ground us, I invite us to take a deep breath in and to fully arrive in this sacred space, in this sacred time. This morning, as we celebrate Juneteenth as a beloved community, let us begin by bringing our attention to the feeling of freedom in our bodies, in our breath, in our minds and our hearts. Feel free to do a little stretch. Shake out your hands or your shoulders. Breathe deeply and with ease. Take a moment to look around you and at the people next to you, acknowledging that we come together freely to worship together, to think and ask questions together, and to connect and love together. Our chalice lighting comes from a prayer for Juneteenth written by Ade Amakraba. Creator of all, as believers in justice, woven into a single garment of life, making us one with the human family, let us rejoice for those who safely passed through the shades of night toward the daylight of freedom. Spirit of all possibilities, may we be blessed with true freedom, free of all oppressions. Spirit of hope, with grateful hearts, we lift our voices in shared solidarity, holding each other safe in the fire of justice and the light of love. Amen, and blessed be.
This week, our Time for All Ages will be a story read by Vicki Highstand. So I invite all of our youth, young people, and young at heart who'd like to come up and listen to a story. Young ones today?
That should do it. Okay. Thank you, Gail.
Okay, our story this morning is called The Wolf and the House Dog, and it doesn't have a lot of pictures, so in case you'd like the color later, I've got some pictures. Thank you. There was once a wolf who got very little to eat because the dogs in the village were so wide awake and watchful. He was really nothing but skin and bones, and it made him very downhearted to think of it. One night, this wolf happened to fall in with a fine, fat house dog who had wandered a little too far from home. The wolf would gladly have eaten him then and there, but the house dog looked strong enough to leave his mark should he try. So the wolf spoke very humbly to the dog, complimenting him on his fine appearance. "You can be as well fed as I am if you want to," replied the dog. "Leave the woods. There you live miserably. Why, you have to fight very hard for every bite you get. Follow my example and you'll get along beautifully. What must I do? Asked the wolf. Hardly anything, answered the house dog. Chase people who carry canes, bark at beggars, and fawn on the people of the house. In return, you will get tidbits of every kind: chicken bones, choice bits of meat, sugar cake, and much more besides, not to speak of the kind words and caresses. The wolf had such a beautiful vision of his coming happiness that he almost wept. But just then he noticed that the hair on the dog's neck was worn around the skin, and it was chafed. You know what chafed means? What do you think it means? Yeah. Exactly, messed up. It was sore and red, and it looked very painful. What is that on your neck? Nothing at all, replied the dog. What? Nothing? Well, it's just a trifle. But please, tell me. Perhaps you see the mark of the collar to which my chain is fastened. What? A chain, cried the wolf. Don't you go wherever you please? Not always. But what's the difference, replied the dog. All the difference in the world. I don't care a rap for your feasts, and I wouldn't take all the tender young lambs in the world at that price. And away ran the wolf to the woods. And the lesson of that story is, there's nothing worth so much as liberty. And that's our story. Thank you. Shall we sing our children out?
Today, our congregation dedicates 100% of its contributions to share the plate. You can donate in one of two ways: by using your phone or here in person. You may rise during the music to put your donation in the boxes if you wish. Boxes are located at the front of the sanctuary or towards the back. This week, our gifts will support the Building Bridges Task Force. Here with more information is Jillian Simmons. Thank you for giving generously.
Well, good morning. As you can see, I'm also with Monica Akbar.
Abakar. Good morning. That's okay.
No, Monica Abakar. And I are so pleased to invite you to attend the 13th Annual Building Bridges Interfaith Dinner and Conversation hosted by the Building Bridges Task Force of Neighborhood Church. The Masjid Jibra'il and the Pasadena Mennonite Church held here at Neighborhood Church on Sunday, June 28th at 6 p.m., just 2 weeks from today. As Bonnie Bluestein shared last Sunday, the Building Bridges Task Force was founded at Neighborhood Church in 2010 with the support of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, largely in response to a spike in hate crimes. Its mission is to forge interfaith relationships through joint service projects and social events through which we can understand each other better, support each other better, and stand up with each other better. We work to strengthen a diverse, multicultural, interfaith beloved community in the Pasadena area. So the theme this year is Community Creating Change. There'll be facilitated small group conversations over a meal of delicious halal Afghan food prepared by a refugee family from the Muslim community. So each time my husband Cesario and I host a table at the interfaith dinner, we're so excited to greet people of different faiths and traditions, all contributing personally through activism and service in many different ways, whether it's professional, personal, through faith. And they grow peace and understanding locally and in the world. We reestablish our prior connections and build new ones through conversation and deep listening over the delicious food. I come away with experiencing new tastes, carrying new contacts, and an expanded mind. So our congregation support through Share the Plate, along with the mosque sharing costs and labor, and the donations at the door make the event possible. Help us reach maximum capacity. It was 150 people last year. By pre-registering by June 24th for the Sunday, June 28th event. Join members of the mosque, our new partners at Pasadena Mennonite Church, local activities against genocide in Palestine, and many others. Let's gather together for a beautiful evening of interfaith, laughter, love, and light. And thank you, and please see either one of us, Monica or me, if you have questions.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for giving generously.
Wow, these guys are really good. So I have a spoken word poem today, and our theme. Today we gather, not merely to remember freedom, but to ask what freedom requires of us now. Because Juneteenth is not only history, it's a heartbeat. It's an unfinished prayer. It is ancestors whispering through generations, keep going. And somewhere through cotton fields and church pews, through jazz clubs and protest marches, through mothers praying over children, through fathers teaching survival with trembling hands, a voice rises. I too sing America. Langston Hughes wrote these words, singing metaphorically through poetry to a nation that refused to hear black voices. Still he wrote, still he dreamed, still he believed that one day the darker brother would sit at the table of human dignity. And we are here because he never stopped writing hope into America. Maya Angelou rises next, not quietly, not apologetically, but like a drum. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Rise from slave ships, rise from segregation, rise from lynching trees and broken laws, rise from silence, rise from despair. That is the sacred testimony of Black America. We rose. Not because the road was easy, but because the soul is stubborn, and because God placed something unconquerable inside oppressed people. And yet freedom is more than survival. Audre Lorde reminds us that silence will not save us. Not silence in the classroom, not silence in the church, not silence in the face of racism, hatred, or fear. She teaches us that speaking truth is itself a liberation. That freedom means bringing our whole selves into the light. The wounded self, the beautiful self, the black self, the queer self, the holy self, the human self. And now a younger voice enters, Amanda Gorman, carrying history in one hand and possibility in the other. There's always light, she tells us, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Not admire it, not post about it, not wait for someone else to create it. Be the light, be the justice, be the mercy, be the freedom our ancestors imagined. When freedom was only a dream whispered in darkness. Because Juneteenth is not the end of the story, it's the continuation of responsibility. Freedom still calls us to protect democracy, calls us to tell the truth about history, calls us to love our neighbors fiercely, calls us to resist systems that crush the human spirit. And so today we honor those who survived long enough for us to stand here free, enough to speak their names. And we choose with the wisdom of James Baldwin, who understood that freedom is never casually handed to the oppressed. He wrote, "Freedom is not something that anyone can be given. Freedom is something people take, and people are as free as they want to be. So may we leave today not only celebrating freedom, but becoming worthy of it." Amen.
People get ready, there's a train coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People get ready for the train to Jordan. It's picking up passengers from from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open up the doors and boredom. There's hope for all among those loved the most. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People get ready, there's a train coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear these souls are humming. There's hope for all among the loved and lost.
Yeah, those guys are really good. Well, good morning. I guess at this point, I should say y'all look so beautiful. Do you agree? Well, I've never seen such a distinguished group of people in just one room, you know. Did I get you? Did I get you guys? Okay, well, welcome. We're here in recognition of Juneteenth. This is a moment of joy and happiness. With irony and trepidation, we honor the end of slavery, at least in this country. Today, we celebrate a brief and fleeting moment of freedom. We also recognize the importance of truth. Our theme is freedom, physical, emotional, economic, and spiritual. But what is freedom? We live in a time of multiple gray areas. Oh, slide one. Kellyanne Conway famously defended a falsehood by calling it an alternative fact. That makes no sense to me, but it does describe the country we live in today. What follows, some may consider my alternative facts. I understand opinions, but we're living in a time constantly challenging universalism, which is the belief that certain truths, values, or salvation apply universally to all people in the world. If you don't accept universalism, then let's just say there are opinions, facts, and reality. And the point here today I wanted to make is in reality, truth is found, and in truth, there's freedom. Oppression is a tactic designed to take away freedom. We're living in a time where freedom is challenged by perverted realities aimed at distorting and diffusing the truth. For instance, who defines injustice, oppression, bigotry, sexism, homophobia, or even rape? Who controls the narrative? The last century has seen a fight for the victim to define their oppression and identify their oppressors. Through the suffrage movement, women fought for the right to be heard, and they didn't stop there, and neither did others. People of color fought the mental oppression imposed by hegemonic structures designed to physically, psychologically, and legally crush any thought of freedom or independence. Loyal Asian Americans told their stories of wrongful imprisonment, enslavement, the theft of their property and finances, interrupted and denied educational opportunities for advancement. The LGBTQIA plus community rose up. We're here, we're queer. Get used to it. The Stonewall riots are cited as the beginning of the modern day gay rights movement. The indigenous Americans, yeah, Mr. Columbus, you were wrong. continue to fight for the right to be seen as human beings, not stereotypes. Now, as we make America great again, bigots, misogynists, homophobes, thieves, insurgents, and even rapists seek control by reconstructing a narrative where they identify themselves as victims of oppression. Woke, a term intended to encourage compassion, empathy, and understanding, is reframed as oppressive. Women aren't raped, they're attacking powerful men. People of color are not oppressed, they're playing the race card. The LGBTQIA plus community just wants to make everybody gay. I don't know, maybe we are. Is that what you got? Okay. Indigenous, excuse me. Oh, that was funny. Indigenous Americans are Indian givers. Ironically, Asian Americans can find themselves viewed as stereotype tropes, expected to be an ideal minority, not of their making. Next slide. So oppressors seek the freedom to oppress. They growl in toxic masculinity and are easily offended. Remember the Cowardly Lion? Put him up, put him up. And Dorothy slapped him and he's like, oh, why'd you go and do that? These are the men now at the top of government in the United States. You know that's right. You know it's right. Why the diversion and confusion? Because through truth, there's freedom. Next slide. Back in college, when I first heard about Juneteenth, I didn't like the idea. I felt like, why are we celebrating that a group of black people were tricked into continuing as slaves for 2.5 years? Let's look at the truth of this freedom. Once the Emancipation Proclamation was issued and slavery was outlawed, many slave owners did not accept the new law. They could read, had access to media, which was newspapers back then, but the enslaved didn't know because it was illegal for them to read or write. Anti-literacy laws heavily penalized anyone who taught slaves to read or write. The South was still in rebellion. Union soldiers had to occupy these areas and declare freedom for the former slaves. The oppressors knew the truth, but suppressed it. On June 19, 1865, Juneteenth, Union General George Granger and his troops traveled to Galveston, Texas, to free the last slaves by declaring General Order No. 3, which reads like this. The people are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them become that between employer and hired labor. The freed are advised to remain at their present homes and work for wages, returning back to the plantation. They are informed that we will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness, either there or elsewhere. Next slide, please. Oh, okay, that was the proclamation. Okay, next slide. Can you imagine the elation on that day when the former slaves who were told they were not citizens, not able to vote, and were treated as animals, to see a group of empowered and armed people who look like them coming with a general to declare their freedom? Today's context, I can't imagine what that felt like, but that had to be a moment of freedom and liberation, but it was a brief moment. The truth is, this so-called freedom was not so simple. It was a sham. In 1860, Galveston was the largest city in Texas, and slavery or free labor was essential to their economy. The soon-to-be former owners knew the day of General Granger's arrival. They cut deals with the local officials to develop a post-freedom plan. This plan was supposedly justified and based on a concern for vagrancy or lawless criminal behavior. You know, those people, what they do. The truth is, this behavior was practically non-existent. Historical accounts characterized the former slaves as interested in acquiring true freedom. They wanted to be educated, take care of their families, have financial independence. News accounts know former slaves reading. They didn't want to waste their freedom being drunk vagrants. And think about this, how would a salary or a promotion negotiation go with someone who was your former master? So here's a brief history of the black struggle for freedom after Juneteenth. Next slide, please. Curfews were set up. Former slaves had to show they were working for their former masters. Those who forgot who their former owner was were incarcerated and forced into day labor for the city. The so-called freedom created a new form of slavery, peonage. This is where the word peon comes from. Former masters piled unreconciled debt based on housing and food. So in other words, at the end of the day, okay, I'm paying you $2, but you owe me $4. So this was so it was an insurmountable amount of debt. You really weren't free. You didn't have economic freedom. You were still on the plantation. So this was not an easy transition. There were 800 lynchings across Texas in the first year of freedom. The Reconstruction Act giving African Americans the right to vote lasted for a year. Next slide, please. The KKK was started in the late 1860s by a group of former Confederate soldiers. They assaulted and murdered politically active black people and their allies. Reconstruction officially collapsed in 1877, taking with it the political and economic advances gained. Next slide, please. Despite these obstacles, black families obtained education and wealth. This was around the beginning of the 20th century. Blacks began to free the oppression of the South. This is what is called the Great Migration. The Midwest became overpopulated, and tension developed between blacks and whites over jobs and other aspects of the economic prosperity. They're taking our jobs. You heard that one before. This was the beginning of the Jim Crow laws, which set legal parameters for segregation and discrimination. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, that's it. That's it. The tension came to a head in what is called the Red Summer of 1919. There were anti-black riots in 26 cities. African-American soldiers returning from World War I were confronted by whites who were motivated by economic envy and jealousy of black prosperity. Hundreds of blacks were killed, thousands misplaced, losing their homes and much of their economic wealth. Freedom is not acquired. Frederick Douglass said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will." You can also say that power does not concede freedom without a demand. So where are blacks now? Did these oppressive systems work? Next slide, please. So I know this is hard to read. I just put that up because this is a group of first among blacks with in government, film, business, medicine, law, and this is just to name a few, just to give you an idea, and this isn't everything, but just an idea of the achievements in spite of oppressive tactics. Okay, next slide, please. So where are we now? A reality check, not alternative facts. Let's consider genetics. Many of us have used services like 23andMe, which remind us that race is largely a social construct rather than a biological reality. Throughout history, race has often been used to create hierarchies that assign privilege to some groups and disadvantage to others. Similar patterns can affect people based on religion, gender, or economic status. The information I'm about to say to you is from the Pew Resource Center, the National Community of Reinvestment Coalition, Brookings Institute, and UNICEF, among others. Most Americans identify racial discrimination, unequal access to quality education, limited access to high-paying jobs, financial instability as key factors contributing to disparities between black and white Americans. These inequities continue to affect opportunities in both education and employment. Educational attainment is at an all-time high. Approximately 27.7% of black adults hold at least a bachelor's degree. Black women have seen particularly strong growth, with over 30% holding a bachelor's degree or higher. The median household income for black Americans averages 57,000, while the national average is about 75,000. Black poverty is at its lowest in history, but it's still twice the national average. Black home ownership is approximately 44% compared to 74% for white Americans. The racial wealth gap is huge. Median net worth of a black household is $44,000 compared to $284,000 for white households. So for every dollar of wealth held by a white family, a black family has roughly 15 cents. 70% of black students must take on student loans to fund a bachelor's degree compared to 56% of white students. Black professionals often face a wage discount compared to white peers. 6-year college graduation rate for black students is 44%, the lowest among all racial groups. For white students, 69% and 75.7% for Asians. So this is not an illusion. This is not pulling the race card. This is recognizing the reality of the result of centuries of exploitation, repression, and injustice. Next slide. So now we've reached your part of the journey. The question before us is simple, but not easy. What is freedom to you? Is freedom a destination or is it a change? Is it physical, emotional, financial, spiritual, or perhaps all of these at once? I don't pretend to know what freedom means for you. Freedom is deeply personal. What I offer are a few lessons from the voices we've heard today. As we conclude, let us return to the question that brought us here. What is freedom? Throughout the presentation, we've encountered 3 ways of understanding the world: opinions, reality, and truth. Opinions are personal interpretations. Reality exists whether we acknowledge it or not. Truth emerges when we honestly confront reality rather than distort it. Juneteenth teaches us this lesson. Legally enslaved people in Texas had already been freed, yet they remained in bondage because the truth was withheld from them. The oppressors knew the truth but suppressed it. Freedom arrived when truth finally reached those who had been denied it. The history that followed reminds us that freedom is rarely given. Peonage, lynching, Jim Crow laws, economic exclusion, and discrimination all sought to limit the freedom that had been declared. Yet generation after generation continued to pursue education, economic opportunity, political participation, and human dignity. That struggle continues today. We still debate who gets to define oppression, injustice, and equality. We still live in a time when narratives compete with facts and when confusion can obscure reality, where freedom requires us to seek truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Whether looking through the lens of justice, human dignity, education, covenant, compassion, or self-knowledge, we learn that freedom is more than the absence of chains. Freedom is the ability to live authentically, responsibly, and in relationship with others. And freedom is never personal. When we become freer, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, economically, we contribute to a freer society. Courage inspires courage. Truth encourages truth. Justice creates more justice. Personal freedom expands the possibility of freedom for others. That is the promise of the beloved community Martin Luther King spoke of. Not a place where everyone agrees, but a community where every person is valued, every voice matters, and human dignity is respected. So perhaps the lesson of Juneteenth is this: freedom is not something given to us. It is something we claim through truth, nurture through courage, and share through community. Because opinions may differ, reality might be ignored, but truth remains. And where truth is embraced, freedom becomes possible for ourselves, for one another, and for the society we're still striving to become. Thank you.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us for singing our closing hymn, number 1017, Building a New Way. We are building a new way. We are building
ceremony to a close, may the light of truth we have witnessed today continue to burn brightly within us. May this truth guide us toward deeper understanding, greater compassion, and the courage to seek freedom, not only for ourselves, but for one another. True freedom is not found in isolation, but in shared commitment to honor the dignity, worth, and humanity of every person. May the light we carry from this gathering continue to grow, illuminating our hearts, our families, and our beloved communities.
Amen.